recording this to the cloud. This is December 10th, 2014. And I'm going to be introduced now in a second, so I'm going to be quiet for a minute here. So let's get rolling here today.
Now may I get started, Professor
Yes.
Bonk? Now it's our great honor to have Professor Bonk here. Let me introduce him for the first part. Professor Bonk is a teacher in the School of Education at Indiana University, teaching psychology and technology courses, and adjunct in the School of Informatics at that university. He is an educational technologist, award-winning writer, highly published researcher, statewide and national awardee in innovative teaching with technology, and internationally acclaimed presenter. Kurt is the author of over 425 publications, including 20 books and nearly 170 peer-reviewed journal articles, and has given close to 2,000 talks around the world. His books include Transformative Teaching Around the World, which received an Outstanding Book Award in 2023. Engaging online language learners, the world is open, empowering online learning, etc. He is presently listed in the Elsevier and Stanford University list of top 2% of scientists in the world, based on publication citations for Korea. In 2020, Kurt was awarded the Indiana University President's Award for Excellence in Teaching and Learning Technology. And in 2021, he received the David H. Jonathan Excellence in Research Award. And in the past 2 years, he received more different awards. Now, let's warmly welcome Professor Bonk. It's your time. Floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you for that wonderful introduction, and it's great to meet all of you today. It is morning in the United States, in particular here in the east, towards the East Coast. We're at 6 o'clock, 6:30 in the morning. Now, when I did this Handbook of Blended Learning in 2006, people in China decided to interview me about this book, and they translated the interview into Chinese. As a result of this one interview of this one book, it's kind of thick book, I got 3 books that were translated to Chinese. In particular, to start with, I have a book called The World is Open, How Web Technology is Revolutionizing Education. Well, South China Normal University, along with East China Normal University in Shanghai, East China Normal published it, South China Normal translated it. And that was a good combination because then after that, South China Normal decided that they would translate my next book, MOOCs and Open Education Around the World, which was in English and in Chinese. So thank you for that at South China Normal and East China Normal. After that, Beijing Normal said, let's translate a book as well. So they decided to take this Adding Tech Variety book and translate it to Chinese as well. And this is my free book. It's available for free online. And so there's 3 different books that are in Chinese. I've held them up here a second ago. I'll put them back up here all together. All 3 of these books are in Chinese and in English. So I've been privileged, I've been lucky to meet many people in Shanghai, in Beijing, in Guangzhou, in Hangzhou and Guangzhou, in Macau, in Hong Kong, and other places. So I've enjoyed my time in China, and I hope to visit again. Now, this is a day of change. We're in the midst of lots of changes in online environments and in blended learning environments, in particular because of AI. AI has caused us to enter a new age. Some call it the year of the generative AI, the year of generative AI. And in the United States, they're actually planning for Gen AI There's national plans about how to use AI in education. And so that is those are two articles among many articles today about AI. Everybody gets information about AI on their desks that they're sharing, that they're interested in, that they're reading. And so it becomes really hard to keep up. Some people are more negative than others about the impact of AI in education and how to best utilize it to be innovative and productive with AI technologies while still having students be ethical and not cheating in the classroom and other things. So many articles today we're reading just to keep up, and it's hard to keep up. So this talk will help us frame a bit what's going on here in the world of education, in particular AI in education, in particular for language learning, for people who are interested in AI in education. So thank you all for coming here today. I've put together this particular talk with dozens of ideas related to using technology for online language learning. So I'll be going through these today, and I've asked Alicia, Dr. Ho, to put this in your WeChat. So there's a handout.
Yeah,
And this
I did.
handout, yeah, we'll get to halfway through in about 30 minutes, but we'll be filling this out utilizing the Tech Variety book I had up there. This book is free. You can download this book in Chinese and in English. And so you can have this book yourself in Chinese from the Open U, no, it's from, yeah, the Open U of China combined with Beijing Normal University have made this book available for free in English or Chinese, either one. And we'll utilize this in about 30 minutes. So we'll come back to that book in a little bit, and we'll go through how to use technologies for language learning to foster feedback, to make things relevant, to foster curiosity, to build intrinsic motivation. Okay. Do we have any questions before we start? I often forget to ask that one thing. Do we have any questions? Now, if you hear a dog barking in the background, that's my dog. I'm going to try and ignore him if he does, but the sun's going to come up in about 40 minutes and he might start barking at the sun. We'll see. Anyway, so let's get started here. And so I have framed this talk, and Alicia, do we have this showing up on the screen properly?
Yeah, we can see the full screen.
Okay,
Please
great.
go ahead with your presentation.
So the little images on the right and left are the two models and frameworks I'm going to be walking through later for language learning. There's innovative AI pedagogy in language classrooms and beyond. I'm going to start with my research here in a bit, but not a lot of my research. We've got maybe a dozen studies on AI in education, so I can't include all of them here. I'm glad to see we're up to 25 people, so that's good. So let's see if I can, and we keep getting people adding. Good. So in the chat, I would like you to answer this question. Have you used generative AI tools for your teaching in the past few months? Put A in there in the chat window if you have not. Put B if you've used it one time. C if you use it several times. D if you use it many, many times. And E all the time. So I'm curious, in the chat window, just put A, B, C, D, or E. And Alicia put a C, right? Good, Alicia. All right, Rani, a D. She's using it pretty much every day. Yayoi, a D as well. Okay. Yufang, you? Okay. A lot of D's in here. My gosh, so many D's. You don't need me. You're using it a lot. You don't need my help. I'm going to go back to bed now. I'll wake up in 6 months. I'll come back. Lots of people utilizing it. Okay, great, great. The second question, have you used generative AI tools or platforms for your learning, either formal or informal, on a daily basis? How many of you use or nearly a daily basis. Use it for learning, not teaching, but for learning. And just put in the chat, A if it's yes, B if it's no. Okay, A or B. Millie's an A person. Xiaojing, glad to have you here. Another A person. Yayoi, an A person. Lots of A people in here today. Yeah, lots of A people. Okay. Okay, great. Victoria, thank you, Victoria, for jumping in here. You is an A. A lot of people are. Tianzheng. Okay, great. Third question. How often do you use generative AI tools for learning or teaching a language? A, lots of times each day. B, nearly every day. C, once a week. D, once a month. E, once or twice just to check it out. And F, never. So in the chat window, A, B, C, D, E, F. A couple people have started already. And we get their answers and responses. Let's see. Some B people, Yayoi, okay. More B people, okay. Nearly every day. Lots of times. Okay. Wow. We're using AI to teach and we're using AI to learn. Randy's an A, lots of times each day because she teaches languages at her institute. Right. Okay. A and B. Okay. Wonderful. Great. And we have another colleague of mine that has joined us. So we are up to 28 people here. Good. Maybe we'll get to 30. Okay. Seems like a lot of you are using Gen AI both to teach and to learn. So a few warm-up questions there just to get us started. Again, I've been privileged to have 3 of my books available in Chinese. This one, Adding Tech Variety, will be going through here in a little bit. Most people, though, are familiar with my World is Open book, how web technology is revolutionizing education. So that's this one here from South China Normal and East China Normal University, along with this other one on MOOCs and Open Ed, both at South China Normal and East China Normal. So thank you both for all that. Let's see if I can walk through my slides. So this is an AI flood of information. So many articles every day that it's hard to keep track of all the articles that we have to learn with. See, we have one more people. Hi from Thailand. It's great to have someone from Thailand. We have someone from Tokyo, and most of you from China. Maybe you have other countries. If you're from somewhere other than China, Tokyo, or Thailand, or Japan or Thailand, let me know in the chat window. See, oh, USA. I'm from USA. So we have 4 countries right now with us. So every day, whether we're talking about schools or higher education or corporate training or the government, AI is in the news since late 2002. I've been fortunate to work with brilliant graduate students who make me work really hard to do the research studies we're doing on AI in education. I'm just going to summarize a few of them here in a second, just not even summarize them, but one, we're looking at writing, how to use AI as a writing tool. And this study just came out and was published. And this study was just published in Computers in Education, Artificial Intelligence. It's a study that was put up in maybe 2-3 months ago, Understanding Self-Directed Learning and AI-Assisted Writing. We asked participants, how frequently are you using ChatGPT for writing? And you notice some people are using it daily, most are using it weekly or monthly for their writing to help them to assist in the writing process. And we asked them more specifically, students' responses on did it improve their writing? And was it helpful? And did it give you feedback? In terms of feedback, about 73% of people we surveyed, and we surveyed almost 400 people. We interviewed 10 people in this study. They said, yes, it's helping us with our writing. It's giving us feedback. It's a very, very helpful to have ChatGPT or generative AI tools, whatever the generative AI tool is, it's helpful to have as an assistant. So this is one study that came out just a couple of months ago. There's a lot to it. If you want any of my research, you can write me an email and I will be happy to send you that research. So yes, we are up to 30 people now. We just had someone add, so this is great. We asked in this particular study, we said, you know, how are you using it? So for brainstorming, most people for brainstorming for their writing, outlining their writing, improving their words and sentence structure and grammar, improving the general structure of their writing, to translate ideas and translate their thoughts into written words. So there are a lot of ideas in which they were utilizing there. My team, Shishi Li and I and Charan Wang, my current student and my former student, both from mainland China. We get many students from China here at Indiana University. And Randy's trying to be one next year, who's with us here among the 30 people. We have another study with 276 respondents. And this was a study of language learning, exploring the utility of ChatGPT for self-directed online language learning. We interviewed 11 people, mostly from the USA. How often do you use ChatGPT to facilitate language learning? And if we look there, the numbers, daily was about 10%, weekly was about 50%. So people are using ChatGPT, generative AI weekly for their language learning. Again, this is another study that's just out 2 months ago. This is free online. There's a link that you can download this particular study at and retrieve it. So we're also exploring, you know, the utility of ChatGPT for self-directed learning. You look here, I enjoy learning new information related to language learning through generative AI. I'm motivated to learn a language through ChatGPT and generative AI. I want to learn new ideas related to language learning through ChatGPT and generative AI. I have a need to learn a language. Okay, all these language learning, these are pretty high scores, 3.9, 4.2 on a scale of 1 to 5. So people are utilizing these technologies pretty often. Again, we had a few hundred people take this survey. Another study that we had was ChatGPT as a tool for teachers' self-directed professional development. This study is in review right now. It's not published. So this is breaking. If you're the first ones to see the data, I think this is the first time I'm showing this data, maybe second time. So we used a mixed method study. We interviewed some people, but mostly surveyed about 300 teachers in this study, and looked at their document histories regarding self-directed professional development. So what types of educational activities were teachers using ChatGPT? And if you look here, the number one idea is to get inspiration for class activities and lesson plans and learning materials. Number two is to test questions and practice questions for students. Number three, creating materials like PowerPoint slides. Number four, providing explanations for students and clarifications and so forth. We see these other, so writing assistance and feedback, enhancing class discussion. There's many ways to use ChatGPT for teacher self-directed learning, teacher professional development, and so forth. So that's rather interesting. We also have a study. This is the first study that we did. We interviewed the gentleman there in the middle. His name is Tom Galley. He's in Tokyo, Yayoi, with you in Tokyo. And Grace Lynn, who's also a former student at Indiana, but she's teaching using ChatGPT. She's teaching English in Taiwan, teaching about language learning. They said to us, well, we're using ChatGPT to help with definitions, examples, correcting grammar, explaining meaning, creating vocabulary tests, translating documents. There are many ways in which they're utilizing ChatGPT. And in mainland China and in Tokyo, these two people we interviewed as well, or three people here. So about teaching Chinese or teaching Japanese. And so how to maximize the use of ChatGPT to help students learn. They are people who teach online to help learn languages. In America, we call them YouTubers. Those people are YouTubers. They make a living teaching language online. And so we interviewed these people, including the two gentlemen there from Brazil, South America, who both of them, Fabrizio and Lucas, know over a dozen languages. They know Italian, Spanish, Ukrainian, Russian, Polish, Chinese. They know 14 languages. One knows 14, one knows 16. It's incredible when we talk to them about their language learning. So that's really great. And so we asked them, what do you think about generative AI as a teaching tool? They said, I think it's the future. It's like it's inevitable. It can generate flawless English or close to flawless. If language can be produced in that way, it can help all people to learn. And so we did a study, and they said, well, what were the kinds of things that we talked about when we interviewed? Oh, maybe almost 20 people we interviewed about how they teach languages online. And so they're using it as a personal writing assistant, as a virtual friend, a virtual assistant, as a technology to give examples, create tutorials, to answer questions. There's all sorts of ways in which they're utilizing ChatGPT to help in their teaching of language. The benefits and drawbacks are many. It helps students engage in conversations. It helps for students who might be struggling with traditional teaching. It creates supplemental resources, whether it's test preparation resources, or vocabulary building, translations, personalization. They're creating basically with ChatGPT a tutor, a virtual tutor available 24 hours a day that can customize learning, customize lesson plans, and tailor the learning for the student particular needs that they have, and in turn foster motivation of students, reducing the workload. There are many drawbacks of these tools. The ChatGPT could be biased. It could have incorrect information input into it, and therefore utilizing inaccurate information to give their answers. ChatGPT does make, and generative AI tools, we have many to use of these generative AI tools, including Microsoft Copilot and Gemini and all these things. And we're up to 32 people, I think, in a second here. I'm letting people in. That's great. So it can be biased. It can repeat information. It can give incomplete information. It can give wrong information. It can give information with errors in it. Still, people are utilizing generative AI. 86% of students in this study in the US claim to use AI in their studies. 54% are using AI weekly, 24% using it daily, according to a survey a few months ago. What are they using it for? 69% to search for information, 42% to check their grammar, 33% to summarize documents, 28% to paraphrase, 24% to create a draft of a document. The awareness has gone up from 60% of people being aware of generative AI, or of students, up to 97% are aware of it, using it daily, as it showed in the last, here in this slide. 24% use it daily, 54% weekly, 86% are using it somewhat. If we look for, again, how are they using it compared to 2023, 2024, as a learning aid, 88%, clarifying concepts, 88%, explaining things, 75%, to help writing part of an assignment, drafting, 30%. To write the whole thing and to cheat, 5%. So one thing we've done a study of is of ethics or cheating in these online environments. And again, it's good to see all of you here from Japan, Thailand, mainly from mainland China with Shanghai Institute of Technology. I'd love to come visit Shanghai Institute of Technology someday. Again, great to have people from around the world. And all around the world, we're using ChatGPT. We've got a study of ethics. And in that study, we've not published yet, most of the students do not want to cheat. They actually, instructors are encouraging them to use AI in their assignments, and they don't want to. They're worried about getting caught. And so the majority, as it shows here, 95% are not using it to write a full assignment. 82% of college students say they use technologies for generative AI compared to 58% of secondary students. And in terms of teacher adoption, it's pretty close to student adoption compared to last year is mostly students using it. This year, instructors aren't, as well as students. 2/3 of college teachers say they use AI for education. They're using it to do research, 46%, to summarize information, 38%, to generate study guides, 31%. So first data was my data. Now I'm presenting other people's data here. So we've got about 10 different studies maybe that we've done. Also, I've studied Duolingo for language learning. So maybe a dozen studies. We've published about 8 of those studies so far in the last year or two. 51% of spring semester students, last semester's 2024, said generative AI helped them. It helped them get better grades. They improved their test scores by having that help. Students are interested in trying generative AI for their coursework, for their learning, to help foster their learning. They want to have a tool to help them walk through the problems and be their assistant, if you will. And the reason they want to use generative AI, it's convenient. It's accessible 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It can be available to personalize learning, to interact, and to feel comfortable. And to feel comfortable because it's not a human analyzing them. It's an AI. It doesn't, they can be wrong. Students might say something silly, and it's not going to say that's silly. Computer's not going to, technology is not going to make fun of them. So they have more comfort, judgment-free zones. And they ask Gen AI for citations. They might ask Gen AI for information. And it encourages them to learn and explore. There are many reasons to use Gen AI. And my friend Helen Crompton at Old Dominion University, who Yayoi met and Rani met last month or 2 months ago in Singapore, she was the keynote. Helen was the keynote or one of the keynotes at the eLearn conference in Singapore. We're going to hold the eLearn conference next year in Singapore again in October. If anyone wants to join me in Singapore, we're going to have the eLearn conference, and it's around going to be like the 17th to 21st of October, something like that. Okay. Anyways, Helen found that students are using ChatGPT to generate outlines, questions, study guides, to facilitate discussion, collaboration, to help them with their language assistance, which is the topic of today. Summarizing articles, providing rationale, editing documents, giving people ideas. There are many, many, many reasons to use it. So UNESCO has created a report helping people think about using Gen AI in education and in research. You can download this free report from UNESCO, but not just UNESCO. Many organizations are writing reports today on AI. My friend Stephanie Pankey at University of North Carolina has a free book called Educate AI that you can all download right now that can help you utilize AI for creativity and imagination and design, for student engagement, teacher professional development. It's a lot of chapters in this particular book. And again, it's free. On the right side, it's that Educate AI is a website. So actually, Stephanie Pankey's book is called AI in Education. Educate AI is a portal to AI resources, news, magazines, um, presentations like this one, they'll record. So it's a new portal to find out new information about AI. My friends in Canada have created an AI Tutor Pro and Teaching Pro utilizing generative AI technology to help you create multiple choice tests if you want, to create your course syllabus or course outlines, all sorts of things. I recommend you take a look at this AI Tutor Pro or AI Teaching Pro, which is free. Contact North, you can type in Contact North and just explore a little bit. I gave a talk for Contact North last week that is available on the web for free. They have webinars like this one that are free to the world on how to teach online, how to teach with generative AI, all sorts of topics. If you go to Contact North, just type in Contact North in a search and you'll easily find that. Okay, incorporating AI in teaching. Daniel Stanford's blog or his Substack has many uses of AI, many examples for role play, for presentations, for critiques, for brainstorming, for research, for instructional design, many, many things. I recommend you, but if you download my slides, you can click on all these links at the top, okay? So I recommend you download my slides, and they're going to be available for free later today at trainingshare.com under archive talks. They're also in Dropbox, but it's more difficult for you to get to Dropbox. So we'll go to TrainingShare. Many affordances of utilizing ChatGPT in one's instruction, developing quizzes, annotating texts, definitions. I already mentioned a lot of these. So marking student essays, giving them students feedback, creating rubrics to analyze student presentations and student papers, creating multiple choice questions, providing summaries of videos, a kind of like a useful study guide, creating lesson plans or alternative lesson plans, and tutorials. Many, many reasons. Charles Darwin University in Australia has this article that's available from two of their faculty. It was published in Times Higher Education in the UK. So I highly recommend this article because it's 25 great ideas. In terms of language learning, how are you going to use Gen AI for language learning? Conversation practice, just a talk partner to gain fluency and responsiveness and agility in thinking. Also for grammar checking and syntax, to provide grammar rules and explanations of what you might have misunderstood, to help you become more fluent and understanding of the rules of grammar, for just simple writing practice and getting feedback on one's writing and the proper use of vocabularies. And then comprehension exercises for difficult texts. There are more reasons. That was just the first four. There are many, many reasons for language learning with Gen AI. Pronunciation guidance, how to pronounce a word or a sentence. Cultural context, to think about the use of a word or a phrase or something in a context with traditions, with their norms. Think about personalizing learning for your level of learning, for what you understand, okay? Personalizing your learning environment. There are many reasons that one would utilize. It's not a replacement for a teacher, but it provides support. It provides irreplaceable support to foster your learning when you need to learn. Vocabulary building, asking ChatGPT, and we have another person from Thailand joining us. So Thank you, Panchali from Chulalongkorn University has joined us, where I visited 2 months ago. So it's great to have you here with us from Thailand.
Hi, hello.
Hey, good to
Sorry, I'm
have.
late. Yes.
It's okay. You're number 32, so it's a special number. So thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay,
So I
please
might
carry
have
on.
to might have to mute your microphone though. So we'll have, yeah, there we go. You can jump in. Anyone has a question anytime, you unmute your mic, you can ask a question anytime. So prompts for vocabulary building, like coming up with words that sound similar or might be synonyms, might be opposites, might be antonyms, might expand my vocabulary and understanding of verbs and adjectives and all sorts of things. So understanding activity 1, ask ChatGPT or Gen AI to correct your grammar mistakes. If it says, I want a house by the sea, why do you change certain words to another expression? So in terms of language learning, what are grammatical mistakes in a sentence? So pointing out what the grammatical mistakes is in I want house by the sea. It should be I want a house by the sea. Hi, I don't understand what dyslexia means in the following article. Can you explain it? And ChatGPT says, oh, sure, I can explain it. Dyslexia is a learning disorder that affects reading and writing. It is characterized by these things. Can you explain dyslexia in Chinese? Well, sure, I can take this English explanation and turn it into a Chinese explanation. Very simple, just like that. And so on the fly, I have a new activity I can utilize in my class. I can define words. Can we define what this word means? Bureaucracy. What's a noun that describes governments and how they work? Large organizations that have lots of forms to fill out. Can you generate comprehension questions for my next exam? Can you generate expansion questions, open-ended questions? Sure, here's some possible comprehension questions. What did Alice consider doing to pass the time? What did Alice think about the book her sister was reading? All these comprehension questions in the book Alice in Wonderland. With some expansion questions, describe Alice's emotions when she saw the white rabbit take out a watch. So it can help you on the fly just come up with things that you might ask or say. Can you adjust the complexity of the dialogue and make it more suitable to a beginning learner or make it more suitable to an advanced learner? So you can change the complexity, the difficulty level of the language when students are reading or when they're studying new material. Now, in terms of pedagogy, Gen AI was created with just November 2022. Since then, there's been many books and resources with examples for how to teach with Gen AI, including this website called Teaching with AI from OpenAI. And they have examples of how to teach with AI technologies. There's also magazines for language learning. The International Association of Language Learning Technology has a free language technology magazine called FLT Mag. You might explore that for people who want to learn languages. Many of the examples I'm going to show here this morning or tonight in China and in Thailand and in Japan, many of these examples I got from this magazine. So I would recommend this fltmag.com. If you teach languages, this is a great resource for free. This is also a free resource. This repository from Colorado State has all sorts of generative AI technologies that are available. So teaching with text generation technologies. However, I don't recommend this book as your first and only book because it's a little too complex. The ideas in this book are for people who might be experts in a discipline. So they have, maybe if you're an English expert or a expert in physics or high-level mathematics, this book has lots of examples, but it might not have exactly what you want. This book, on the other hand, is also free and has better examples. This book called Creative Ideas to Use AI in Education. 101 creative ideas, including getting students' discussion started with generative AI prompts. Idea number 59 in this free book of 101 ideas includes how to generate discussion, how to foster discussion, asking Gen AI to create discussion prompts, or case discussions. Have a case problem or situation and having generative AI help you solve that problem. Now, one place that I like, that I found valuable to go to, is Harvard's website called AI Pedagogy. The AI Pedagogy project from Harvard has many examples and almost step by step how to use them. So I highly recommend this website. The director of the website, her name is Sarah Newman, and the link is there. So if you download my slides from trainingshare.com later today, you'll be able to access those. Now I'm going to come back to my free book. It's free in Chinese and in English, so both in English and Chinese. Over about 300,000 people have downloaded this for free. If you go to my homepage, you can get all the free stuff. So if you go to my name, kurtbonk.com, you can get these books. But you just type in Tech Variety, and in here we have 10 motivational principles, from tone to curiosity to relevance to engagement to all yielding products spells Tech Variety. Now, this book came out in 2014. The newer version of this book, Motivating and Supporting Learners Online, came out in 2022. We updated it, and we have a free class with the book, a free course that you can take on learning how to motivate students in online environments. My colleague, her on the left, is Elaine Coe from New Zealand. She and I did this book as well as this book together. So I've been thankful to work with Elaine on 2 projects over the past decade. Now, in the Tech Variety book, the first letter is T, Tech Variety, tone, or climate. One way to foster an interactive and engaging climate is to have ChatGPT give you some icebreaker activities, some team building activities, some group rapport building in breakout rooms, and have students reflect on a series of questions in a breakout room. Or to utilize, for tone, utilize a new Gen AI tool called HeyPI, HEYPI.com. HEYPI.com. It lets you have a conversation like with a counselor or a therapist or an advisor or a consultant. It'll give you feedback and have a rich and engaging discussion. I told HeyPI my daughter was coming to visit, and it said, oh, wow. I told her it's coming to visit from all the way from Las Vegas. It said, oh, wow, that's a bit of a flight, but totally worth it to spend time with family. Did they stay with you or a hotel? I said, with me. Even better, HeyPI said, spending quality time together. Sounds like a lovely visit. How long did they stay? 2 nights. Ah, such a lovely amount of time, long enough to catch up, quality time. So a conversation here with a computer. And your students can do this too using HeyPI to develop some, like if they need counseling or social worker or something like that. Also poetry. You could have Gen AI write a poem, but not just any old poem. You could have them create a poem to give feedback to your students on their papers. So for instance, there once was a chatbot named ChatGPT whose language skills were quite a sight to see. It could chat about anything from sports to music and even basketball. ChatGPT, a conversational prodigy. So some rhymes, and they're not really good poet, but ChatGPT could be used to create poetry for student feedback to make it more fun and engaging. ChatGPT could also create visuals like an eagle soaring in the sky or a bird in the sky for your soaring, your such great work. not a dragon. I guess next year is the year of the dragon, maybe Chinese year of the dragon coming. Anyways, so soaring high or maybe with the dragons, oh, maybe my paper wasn't as good as it could have been. So art-based feedback instead of words, using art. You might not use this idea, but maybe. Now, again, in this handout you have, if you printed it out, you could put down ideas that you might use or may use or will use, okay? Possibly that you, and on the back side, we'll do the second model. So if you download this, all 10 principles of the tech variety model are in here, and you can put down ways in which you might use it. So number two is encouragement or feedback. Exam preparation might build a mechanism for students to get feedback on their study skills. Did they study well enough to learn the material? So you give them practice questions. You give them a tailored study schedule. ChatGPT can generate a tailored study schedule or summarize key points or generate practical questions. All this for feedback purposes. I see we have two things in the chat window. I wonder if we have a question for me in the chat window. If anyone has questions, okay, thank you for that. Thank you. Okay, no questions yet. Okay. Number three is practice tests. There's a free tool called Quizlet, which will let you develop practice tests. And they've recently added an AI tool to it called QChat that will give corrective feedback and help with their grammar errors and lexical errors, and give them advice if you give them different prompts. Encouragement and feedback. This gentleman who teaches in Johannesburg, South Africa, to mostly students who don't know English, he's the head of research there at the University of Johannesburg, and he's trying to help students understand grammar rules and sentence rules and all sorts of things. So he encourages his students to use ChatGPT to translate from English to other languages and back and forth to improve their English writing and practice their conversation. So they use ChatGPT as a translation tool to move in and out of different languages as they learn English. Also in that 101 idea book, they have other examples such as number 3 here, curiosity, or number 55, I should say. Chatting with people in history, to have a fictional chat with Napoleon, with Caesar in ancient Rome, with someone from Sir Edmund Hillary going up Mount Everest. Have a chat with someone in history, Mahatma Gandhi, Mother Teresa, whomever in time, in historical time, and then have a discussion with that person. Yao Ming in basketball, very big person in the U.S. as well as China. Everyone loves Yao Ming. But so have a chat with someone in the past, in historical times, and discuss any information you want with them. So tell ChatGPT, I would like you to be Napoleon, as in the right there. I want you to answer these questions about maybe it's tactical maneuvers in training and so forth. Curiosity, intrigue, and unknown. Using generative AI to create a debate partner. So if you might be coming to class to engage in a debate, you might ask ChatGPT to help you prepare for it by being a debate partner and explaining the rules of the debate and setting the norms and being able to practice whatever the debate might be. We could be debating the utility of micro-credentials or shorter classes or shorter curriculum compared to traditional school being how many weeks long, 15 weeks, having things be shorter. We could have a debate about that. We could debate the benefits of having all exams or tasks be problem-based learning. And are students going to learn as well in a problem-based environment? And ChatGPT could help you prepare for that kind of environment. It could be a conversation partner. You can tell ChatGPT, Pretend you're a first-year university student from Japan. I will ask you a series of questions in the target language, in Japanese. I would like for you to respond as if you were human. So here we're helping the student learn a language, whether it's Japanese or English, Chinese, or Thai. Let's pretend you're a tour company in Thailand. The name of the company is called Thai Fantastic Tours. I will pretend to be a tourist and I will ask you a series of questions in Thai, and I'd like for you to respond as if you were human. Or I'll ask you a series of questions in English, whatever it would be. So it can assume any language, any persona at any point in historical time. We can go back 100 years, 10 years, 5 years. You also ask ChatGPT, okay, be my language assistant today. I want you to use the following word, accelerate, in English in a sentence. I'm struggling to learn a particular word, a grammar topic, a past tense and present tense. Can you provide an explanation and provide some guidance? How do I form questions in English? How do I form questions in Chinese? I need help with the correct word order in, so all these things. Can you give me an example of possessive, passive possessive, or whatever it is that you're trying to teach students in language kinds of learning? Number 4, variety, novelty, fun, fantasy, learning new words through images, having images that on the left-hand side isn't as clear, and there's no bus in it. On the right-hand side, we've now got clearer images and there's a bus in there, and having students describe what they see in the picture. So having ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini or DALL-E or other generative AI technology, have it create images that then your students who are learning languages have to write a short paper about that, what they see in that image, as a way to facilitate their language learning and their writing expression. We want to foster expressiveness. So now there's a new technology coming called Sora. Sora is a text to video generation tool. It's OpenAI's video generator tool. So here's the prompt that was written. I want you, Sora, to create a stylish woman walking in downtown Tokyo like Yayoi. The streets filled in Tokyo, warm, neon glowing atmosphere, animated by city signage. The woman will wear a black leather jacket, a long red dress, black boots. She carries a black purse. She wears sunglasses. Where are my sunglasses? Oh, she wears sunglasses and she walks casually and confidently through the city streets of Tokyo. The street is damp and reflective and creating a mirror signage effect. Many pedestrians walk by. This is all text. From the text, it generated a video, okay, of a stylish woman in Tokyo wearing her sunglasses. Oh, I've got more sunglasses. I've got orange ones too. You see the orange? See the orange? Yeah, I got sunglasses. I got sunglasses. Well, I could be out there with the woolly mammoths. Here, I want you to create a picture, Sora, of giant woolly mammoths approaching, treading through the snowy meadow with the wind blowing, the fur. The snow covers the trees in a dramatic way, the mountains in the afternoon sunlight with wispy clouds, and the sun is high in the distance with a warm glow. A low camera view creates a stunning visual effect. This is created from text. They created the visual image. We do not have to be graphic designers. We can just be, hey, I know a little bit about technology, but today you can be you can create real interesting scenarios with this technology. So that was the start of, that was the end of number 4, curiosity, fostering curiosity and a variety, right? Variety, number 4. Number 5, autonomy and choice. In my syllabus, I give students what I call brave people options. The brave person can have ChatGPT or generative AI write the book review, and the student writes a paper on the book review that Gen AI created, and then also might create a glossary of terms that were used with definitions. So instead of students writing critiques of books, they're reading a critique of AI has written, the AI tool has written, and then they critique that. Okay, you catch. So again, here to foster, so that's choice and autonomy. So they do not have to do this assignment. This is one option of 5 different options, is to utilize Gen AI technology. So number 5 is choice. Number 6 is relevance, making learning relevant to the learners. My colleague Mahabali in Cairo at the American University of Cairo, I had the privilege of visiting a year ago and going to Egypt and presenting to her students. She writes about language learning activities all the time. She teaches digital literacy classes, and she encourages her students to use AI to generate ideas, to generate first drafts. And she has written a lot of articles about how to use Gen AI in your classes. So I would look up her name as Mahabali. Another person to look up is Flower Darby, who writes, the two of them write a lot for the Chronicle of Higher Education in the US on how to use technologies for innovative pedagogy, both of them. So relevance, okay, relevance, making it relevant to your students. In one of my classes, and we're at 32, maybe 33 people in here now. In one of my classes, I bring in guests every week to class. And before the guest comes in, we might use generative AI to generate questions for the guest to make it relevant to everybody. So we put the articles that that person has written into a Gen AI tool like Chat PDF. If you've heard of Chat PDF, put yes or Y in the chat window. If you've ever used or heard of Chat PDF, not Chat GPT, but Chat PDF, put a Y for yes in the chat so I can see if anyone has used this. I like this tool a lot. It's easy to use because all my papers are in PDF formats. So I can put a PDF in Chat PDF and generate questions for the guests or generate questions for my own articles and then lecture from those. I can also generate lists of top key points in the article and use that list that Gen AI built for me to lecture from, to present from. It makes my job easier as a teacher to utilize ChatGPT and ChatPDF for lists. No one's used ChatPDF so far. Okay, interesting. We're at 33, maybe 34 people. We keep increasing. That's a good sign. So also having ChatPDF refine the interview questions for the guest. I might have certain questions, but I asked ChatGPT to refine it. This is idea 85 out of 101, the 101 book. Most of the ideas in the 101 book that I mentioned come from the UK. Some come from Australia, US, but a lot from the UK in this book. So they must be UK people who did this free book. You can download the book at that URL there, doi.org. When you get my slides, you can get the free book. If you can't find this book, send me an email. So this is number 6, to make it relevant, to make the interview questions relevant or whatever activity is relevant. Number 7 is interactive. So there are 3 free, well, not free, there are 3 short little books that I have found, these books for AI. So this book is called ChatGPT for Teachers, AI in the Classroom, Harnessing the Power of ChatGPT for Effective Teaching. This book is very thin. I'm not sure you will get a lot from it. Okay, I bought it. It's okay. And and there's another one, 80 ways to use ChatGPT in the classroom. It's 80 ways to use in the class. It's okay. This book is better, I think, of the three, and I'll come back to this book. It's called Teaching with AI, A Practical Guide to the New Era of Human Learning. Teaching with AI, A Practical Guide. Anyways, the first book, the author says, and the author's name is Pacifico, must be Spanish, I think. Have students use ChatGPT or generative AI to engage in analytical writing, critical thinking, developing arguments, justifying reasoning, exploring the credibility of sources. To explore, are those accurate resources? Are they credible resources? Are they justified? Should I use that reference? This person in his class in New York, State University of New York at Plattsburgh, he has students write critiques of a book, and then he has students, after they write a critique of maybe the first 3 chapters of this book, and that's a great book, Machines of Loving Grace. It's the history of computing technology over 200 years. I had my students look at that book too. What he does then is students bring in the summary of that book, and then he shows them what the generative AI tool created. He had the same assignment for ChatGPT or ChatPDF or other generative AI tools, and he has students compare the two, their summary and the generative AI. And what do you think he finds? The students find that the story ChatGPT wrote was boring. The summary that ChatGPT wrote was humanless. It had no emotions or expression. Their summary was much better. So it teaches students not to rely too much on these, because they basically create a laundry list of what's in the book and not really critiquing or summarizing what the book was all about. So book summary comparison is that activity. Another activity, use Gen AI to create a book summary and then exchange the summaries with another group. So you might have small teams and everybody uses a different generative AI tool to create a summary of the book, and then they hand their summaries to another group to discuss. They use the summaries to discuss as a point of discussion, like what are the key points that generative AI made? For some people, they like to have generative AI create a text and then have students critique it. You might have Gen AI create a short critique of 100 words or 200 words, and then have students create an expanded critique using those first 100 words as a base to start with. And then they highlight in yellow or green their additions, or they track changes that they made. They have students then revise that text, looking for grammar errors, syntax errors. So if you're teaching languages and wanting them to learn language better, you might have them utilize these tools so that they understand the grammar and syntax and what's problematic text. Number 7 still. So having Gen AI summarize the most important points, the most important 5 or 10 points, or create an outline, and then expand on that outline, have discussion from that outline, have teams debate that outline or that summary. My friend Helen Crompton, as I mentioned earlier, she was the keynote of my conference 2 months ago that Yayoi and Rani were with us 2 months ago in Singapore. She was the keynote. She uses ChatGPT as a debate partner, as I mentioned, but she also uses it as a recruiter interviewing people for jobs. So as a way to practice their job interviews, or as a way to talk to a supervisor, a boss, and listen to the person's feedback that they give. Also having student-led discussions, case discussions with ChatGPT prompts. AI can help focus someone. So empowering student-led discussion groups with ChatGPT and generative AI prompts. So to utilize these technologies, tools, to have case discussions. So ChatGPT might create the prompts, the questions for a discussion, or it might create the conversation. There's all sorts of ways to have case discussions utilizing these technologies. You could also have ChatGPT create a movie script or a script of any kind, and then look for in that script, how was gender identity? If you have a movie script with actors and actresses of nurses or pilots or physicians or technologists or something, you can then look at how the women or men were portrayed. Was it typical bias in promoting the man as the doctor and not the woman, and so forth? You have discussions around bias when you analyze those documents, and maybe looking at cultural expressions or what's called idioms or language use that might not fit multiple cultures, and having students discuss different drafts of their stories and explain how certain cultures might not understand different concepts and different points. Now, the book I've recommended was this book, Teaching with AI. In this book, Teaching with AI, Jose Bowen and Edward Watson, they have many ideas. One of their ideas is record weekly reflections in a blog or a journal. Now, I once had a research study of blogging in China almost 20 years ago when blogging started becoming widely used. You could have students get feedback from their peers as well as generative AI on their blog reflections, on their journals, and have them revise their journals based on the on the reflections and interactions they had with ChatGPT. Excuse me. So one person in that, one idea in that book is to ask teams of 3 students to use different AI tools to come to class, each with a group of 3. Of 3 in this group, group 1, 3 in group 2, 3 in group 3, and everybody in the group uses a different AI tool to create a summary or to create questions or to create themes, and then have them discuss the results of each of those different AI tools. To have students write a paragraph, an abstract, a short paper, a poem without AI, and then share that with a partner, and they might modify it with an AI tool and have to identify where AI helped them add to it. So you might use AI in a small way to help you refine or enhance the article that you wrote, or the poem that you wrote, or the short paper that you wrote. Okay? Also, you can use generative AI to moderate discussion. So you could have, as I do in my classes, I'll take my magic glasses off and put back on my regular glasses so I can, if I can find them, but no, oh, they're right underneath. Oh, there my glasses are. Okay. So I have discussion forums, and I have one group that's only humans in the discussion. I have a second group where ChatGPT might be fostering the discussion, or other generative AI tools. So I have AI enhanced discussion forum, and I have a human discussion forum. And I have students sign up to be in these different discussion forums, and they like that. You also might have ChatGPT or Gemini or other generative AI tools generate a text that has some flaws, generate a text that has errors in it, and have students find the mistakes, have students find the inaccuracies. For instance, write a factual inaccurate essay discussing the effects of human pollution on the Mississippi River in the United States and the effects that this will have. And so the generative AI tool will come back with someone with problems, with mistakes, and the student has to figure out what those mistakes are. Okay, so those are some ideas. Cornell University has a Center for Teaching Innovation, and they've created a lot of examples. So Cornell University, MIT, Harvard, and Johns Hopkins in the United States, all on the East Coast, have created guides, AI guides that are really, really good. So Cornell has created a guide, includes pro and con debates. Use generative AI to generate pro side and con side for a debate, and then the students review the material and the arguments. They come to class prepared for the debate and discuss it, and then they reflect on what were the best debate points that were made. Okay. In the 80 ways to use ChatGPT book, which I don't recommend, it's okay, it's an okay book, have ChatGPT or other generative AI create icebreakers or questions, interview questions, or article recommendations, then engage students in a discussion of the questions that it generated. Being kind of a language, a language partner. Gen AI translating articles or blocks of text into a target language, and then have teams of students improve that translation. So don't just use the translation, have students improve it, rewrite it, discuss it, do other things with it. Don't believe everything that it translates is going to be correct, as a way to spur discussion and understanding. My friend Tran Fong from Cal State Fresno University uses the SMILE program. SMILE was created by Paul Kim at Stanford, Stanford Mobile Inquiry Learning Environments. Paul just quit his job at Stanford. Yeah, he doesn't know this, and he's in Beijing right now. So he's spending a year in China teaching people about SMILE and other things. You in Shanghai might bring him down to Shanghai. SMILE evaluates the levels of questions that people ask on a scale of 1 to 5, using Bloom's taxonomy to analyze their questions. And my friend Trong Fong has students generate many questions and has SMILE analyze the questions asked. So Paul Kim and I wrote a paper that's in review. It's almost accepted for publication. 2,555 educators generated 25,000 questions, almost 26,000 questions. For instance, they asked a question of a level 1 kind of question. What, like, what was, I can barely read this, sorry about that. They're asking for definitions of a word, okay? Or asking them to explain something. It might be low level versus asking for any analysis or synthesis or evaluation of something. Or for a scientific concept, to explain how one scientific concept is different from another one might be a higher level question. We were able to look at these 26,000 questions, and most were at the highest level evaluation, 8,000 questions. The second most were at the basic knowledge level, 7,000 questions. But what was important is we improved the level of questions that students were asking over time, from level 1 to level 2, level 2 to level 3, level 3 to level 4. So you can download SMILE for free and use it in your classrooms. It is now called Ask Smile, the newest AI tool. It's no longer just called Smile. Smile, I'm gonna smile. It's no longer just called Smile. It's called Ask Smile, which is AI based, okay? I also have students do a research analysis where they find 15 articles and they summarize them. I have a Brave People option where AI finds 15 articles, summarizes them, and students compare their summary to the AI summary. So they're utilizing AI as another tool or technology. Tension or challenge. So generative AI can do a peer critique of students' work using ChatGPT to review the student's assignment and give them feedback, just like a peer would, like a student in their class would. And this is used at the OpenU of the UK, is using this idea. This woman is having ChatGPT analyze students' resumes, their cover letters, their CVs. She's having students write their cover letters and having a chatbot rework it, giving them feedback and prompts on how to make it better, helping them craft better materials. This professor here is, well, actually it's me. is having students use ChatGPT or other generative AI tool to create a video and a script, and they have to then analyze that video, critique it, and turn that in as well as the video that was produced. So they might produce a video explaining a concept. They might produce a video as a tutorial for next year's students to learn the content in my class. As a product for the class, they're creating a video summary of my class and then writing a reflection paper on that. Or my students might create a podcast show of their papers that they wrote. So they might turn the papers that they wrote into a podcast of some kind. Or they might create a historical recreation, a visual depiction of something in time. I notice we have 12 minutes left, 13 minutes left, so I want to go through a few more ideas quickly, and then we'll get to some questions in here. See, immersive historical representations. This one idea was used at Harvard. Using ChatGPT or generative AI, students create a visual depiction of themselves in a context, in a historical context, political context, a geographic one, and then they write a paper about that. So that's a tech variety model. Tone, encouragement, curiosity is tech, variety, autonomy, relevance, interactivity, engagement, tension, and yielding products is variety. Tech variety, there's two free books. Again, you can get this free book in English or in Chinese from Beijing Normal or the Open U of Chinese, or free online at my homepage. Now there's a new free book, Motivating and Supporting Learners Online, off my homepage or at the Commonwealth of Learning with a free class. Free, 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 free. We have 32 people with us here to see if some people wrote a message for us. I don't see any questions, okay, yet so far. The second model, the second one, if you printed this out, if you flip it over, we get the read, reflect, display, and do model. I'll just give you some examples from here, and we can go to question and answer in here. But read, reflect, display, and do. It's a problem-solving wheel. Some call it a learning style model. Okay, so you can use it either way. Read, reflect, display, do. Dr. Kao Zhang wrote this book with me. She's originally from China. She's today in Georgia at Kennesaw State as the director of technology, learning technology department. So reading, so students might read, and you might ask students, you might have AI generate a text based on the course contents, and have students review that and change it and have them track their changes. We've had this example before. So engaging AI generated text, students review it, critique it, modify it, expand it, have discussions around it, and so forth. This gentleman here has students annotate ChatGPT generated essays, looking at civil rights in the United States in the 1960s, 70s, and 80s, and having students work in small groups to annotate it and generate questions with it. This professor has students, in this assignment, has first-year writing students evaluate 3 anonymized texts written by AI that present conflicting points of view. So he has his first-year students analyze these 3 different texts and compare them, and might be having the Gen AI tool purposely misrepresent information or create factual information. It might have the students find the incorrect information in the text analysis activity. This gentleman has his students analyze persuasive text versus other kinds of text, argumentative text, different genres of writing. He compares different writing styles, if you will. This professor says he uses ChatGPT as a summary tool. So he wants the students to understand the ability of ChatGPT to summarize and where it might get things wrong. I require every student to use ChatGPT in my class in every major or minor assignment as a way to expose them to the possibilities. So reading, reflecting, you might have students, again, take a 2-page summary that ChatGPT has created and have them revise it, or might have students turn in a 2-page proposal and have them, or come to class with a 2-page and have them create a 1-page from that. So condensing ideas down to size. Have them start with 2 pages or 4 pages and have them create a summary of a basic, what are the key points that are in there, and have them compare their summary to the ChatGPT summary and have a discussion wrapped around it. So you might have ChatGPT generate outlines for an assignment. And we've had this before, so maybe I can skip over some of these, but basically comparing your summary to the Gen AI summaries, right? Or maybe having students edit the text that's produced. We've already had this up there already. Or having students play around with different prompts, prompt engineering, if you will. Or have a ChatGPT be a peer editor of the assignment and offer constructive feedback. We've had many of these ideas in before, but you can see these are very popular. Have it create summaries of a transcript of a document and then reflect on that, or brainstorm, or look at validity of sources. Number 3 is displaying. Having ChatGPT create a video like Sora that we showed earlier, or an image, having it create an image or a figure that they have discussion wrapped around that image, whatever that image might be. DALL-E is a Gen AI tool for building images. And so now with Sora, we can build a scenario, a movie, a short movie of all sorts of things, whether it's a man reading a book in a cloud, or someone traveling along the highway, or someone, a pirate ship in a cup of coffee, you name it, we can create a video with Gen AI technology today. Actually, Sora is not out yet, but it's coming. We might have an animated scene featuring a close-up, short, fluffy monster kneeling beside a red candle. The art style is 3D and realistic, with a focus on lighting and texture. The mood of the painting is one of wonder and curiosity. The monster gazes at the flame with the wide eyes open. Its pose and expression convey a sense of innocence and playfulness. So you also might, a giant cathedral is completely filled with cats. There are cats everywhere. You look, a man enters the cathedral, bows before the cat king. If I had time, I'd play this video for you. But you can create videos of almost everything. And once you have the videos, you can ask ChatGPT to summarize the video and create the key concepts that are in the video, or explain a concept in the video, or create a list of questions for that video, or summarize the key points. You create a list of explanations of key concepts. So generating a transcript from the video and then have activities run around that transcript. And finally, doing something, whether it's an assignment, you might ask ChatGPT to create an exercise. Please create an exercise where it's fill in the blank. Give me 3 choices for each question, highlighting the correct one. So they'll review exercises, glossaries. You may ask ChatGPT to create a glossary for the class. I want you to create a glossary of the 10 most common phrases in this text. Or you might ask ChatGPT to create a cartoon, a humorous cartoon from an educational perspective of this concept, right? Explaining density, for instance, in a cartoon strip so that students understand some aspect of science. So very popular is humor today. And my friend Araz Bozkurt in Turkey uses cartoon strips in his classes. Or you might have ChatGPT generate images or stories. A tool that my students used last week is called Synthesia. Synthesia is a tool for AI bots to have conversations. So it has over 140 different languages, 230 different avatars that you can use to, you would type in text and have the avatar explain and have it engage in debates and discussions. It's really interesting and really fun. I recommend just trying it out. Again, I don't have time to show it, but it's something that your students will engage with. Another of my students last week did a book. She wrote a book, and at the end, or at the beginning of the book, she inserted a podcast created by AI. There's a new tool called Notebook LM where it can create a podcast interaction of a man and woman talking about your article, your book, your research. I used it last week to take this talk or a talk similar to create a podcast of the talk. So after this presentation, I'll stop the recording and I will create a podcast of it, a short 14-minute, 10-minute podcast of two actors explaining and talking about what I've just discussed during the last hour and a half. So in this talk, how many of you got no ideas at all for using Gen AI in your teaching? Put A. 1 or 2 ideas, put B. 3 ideas, 5, put C. 6 to 10, put a D, and 10 or more, put E. In the chat window, A, B, C, D, or E. I'm curious what people are picking here. Lots of D's. Randy, thank you very much. Okay, we've got C's and D's. Good. You've got at least 3. That's the goal. 3 ideas. Thank you, Yvonne. Milia D. Shang-Yi. Sophia. 3 to 5. That's what I want, Sophia. That's perfect. And if you want more, just write to me after. Yayoi, also 3. Yayoi's heard this talk before. She got 3 ideas. I'm really happy because she knows all of this stuff already in her head. So thank you all for, I've got another question for you. Let's see, what else do I have here? How many ideas did you get for your learning for using generative AI tools? No ideas? Put A, 1 to 2, B, 3 to 5, C, D, 6 to 10, E, more than 10. So in the chat window, A, B, C, D, or E. Again, lots of C's. Thank you, Randy. Joe, thank you. Alicia, Yufang. Lots of C's. Great. So we have accomplished a lot here today. Anyone else want to put theirs in before I close this? I will. Oh, hey, from Thailand, a D. Sophia C. Great. Great to have you all with us here today. So I am happy. My minions are happy. If you could put 3 words in the chat window about this talk, what you got out of this talk, just say, many ideas today, or you might say Bonk is stupid, or whatever you want to say, 3 words, 4 words, 5 words in the chat window. We're at a jumping off point today. Those are people with me from South China Normal, or maybe from Shenzhen, China, I think. Those people are from South China Normal. And I asked them to jump with me. So I'm going to ask you to jump with me today. On the count of 3, we're at a jumping off point. I'm going to need all of you to jump with me today to get to the next step. 1, 2, 3, jump. 1, 2, 3, jump. 1, 2, 3, jump. Oh, you got to put your cameras on so I can see you jumping. But okay, 1, 2, 3, jump. All the ladies, 1, 2, 3, jump. All the men, 1, 2, 3, jump. Okay, we're at a jumping off point to the new era of teaching and learning with technology. It's an exciting time to be thinking about utilizing technology, and things are heating up today. My precious. Well, the learning revolution is coming within reach for all of us today, but I cannot do this alone. So on the count of 3, I need all of you to say with me, I cannot do this alone. 1, 2, 3. I cannot do this alone. 1, 2, 3. I cannot do this alone. 1, 2, 3. I cannot do this alone. Great. So in the chat window, I want you to put down some of the ways you can use generative AI in your teaching. What's some ideas you can use things for today? And ask me any closing question that you want. And my notes are at trainingshare.com. My papers at Publication Share. Question: Gen AI is very good at project-based learning, but could be challenging at standardized tests. In China, we teach mainly students to have good grades in exams. How can we use Gen AI to facilitate standardized exam improvement? Well, as I pointed out in there with the Quizlet tool, I would create sample tests, practice tests, reflection tests to get ready for those standardized exams. So I would generate a series of test questions possibilities. Also, you can create examples in a case book. You could have case examples or test question examples or quiz question. Actually, I think, Sophia, you've asked a relatively easy one. If you asked the opposite one, it'd be much harder for me. I think this one, this is one way to better utilize ChatGPT, generative AI to improve student test scores, to elevate them. But test scores alone do not indicate learning. We've got to keep that in mind for all of us today. So we want to see if there are other questions in here from all of you. Thank you, Joe. Thank you. Any more questions? Alicia?
Okay. Dr. Bonk, can I ask you a question directly?
Yes.
Okay, I just unmute myself and ask you directly. I think it's much better. So thank you very much for your informative and insightful lecture. I think we inspired a lot, right? And I would like to take this opportunity to ask a question of my own, so other teachers may think about their questions. I'm curious, what do you recommend to educators as ways to learn about instructional strategies and techniques with AI? How might they get professional development? Thank you.
Getting professional development is another one. It's relatively easy to do. And as I answer your question, I'm going to stand up here and talk to my dog because he wants a bone. So I'm going to throw him some bones here. And because he's barking at me here today. As we're getting near the end here, I'll show you my.
Is that because you get up
There he
so
is.
early?
It's my little dog down there. So professional development, right, Oliver? Say hi, Oliver. Okay. So you wanted professional development for teachers using AI technologies. Again, you've got all this. This is recorded, right? These are all, each of these activities are meant to be professional development for teachers. And we can create other things from the recording, like a podcast show, like using Notebook LM. So you could ask ChatGPT to create a transcript of this talk, to create examples, to create a podcast, all sorts of things. So generative AI can create resources for that professional development. And that was the goal of our research project on self-directed professional development of teachers, was to have ChatGPT and other technologies utilized for teachers' own self-directed learning. So that paper is in review, and I can send you that. There are a bunch of ideas that are reflected in that article for professional development. But I think that between having cases, having examples, having audio files and video files, being able to put those all together into a resource portal for you to improve your skills in utilizing AI. So go back to your original question. You want to follow up with me, Alicia? Oh, you're muted, Alicia.
Oh yeah, I mute myself. Yeah, I actually asked you two questions. The first question: what do you recommend to educators as ways to learn about instructional strategies and techniques with AI? This is
Yeah.
the first question. And follow this question: how might they get professional development? Actually, it relates our teachers' development.
Yeah. So one is that portal I showed earlier, the free
Yeah.
book I showed earlier on AI. I would download that free book. The UNESCO report. I would download the free UNESCO report on AI. So number one, I do. I've downloaded all these and more. They're all downloaded for me to read. And So one, you take advantage of the free resources that are out there and the free trainings. Second, go to Contact North. I would go to Contact North, look for the training part, and all free, all the webinars. They have many on AI. So ramping up means increasing your skills through your reading, reflecting, displaying, and doing, through accessing the free courses. And this will be available free as well off of my homepage, so all mine, but Contact North has many. And then the Commonwealth of Learning I mentioned earlier, Commonwealth of Learning, their website is col.org, col.org. They're in Vancouver, Canada, and in Delhi and other places, but their headquarters is Vancouver, Canada. They have tremendous resources, in particular working with disadvantaged students, people who might not have access to all these resources. So they're really good with working with students who might be from the global south or might not have, like I said, might be young girls in Africa who don't have access to traditional education schools. Anyhow, Commonwealth of Learning and Contact North are both Canadian, you notice. So the Canadians are doing a lot to help the world. And so utilizing those, and Contact North, their presentations are excellent. Now, Contact North also has the bot that's an AI tutor and AI teacher you could play around with. So utilize the free resources, access the free classes, but then start playing around with a couple things. Try it out, pilot it up. You have to when you do pilot things out, share what you're doing with someone else and see if they'll want to extend a little bit what you've done and create a little team or create a community of people who are trying things out, like you could in WeChat, like she could in Thailand in Line, or in Korea in Kakao Talk, have a little group that might form in Facebook. Here in the US, we have these groups. Share these. So first you have to understand what's possible, and then share what's being done in these, and take a look at what's possible. But there's many steps to all this. I would start with action research, and then presenting what you did when you pilot at a conference, and then you grow your community through those presentations. People come up afterwards and ask, what did you do there? And you share, and your group grows and it gets bigger through that network, in effect. So another thing you can do is get a mentor. Ask someone to share with you, or and give you some ideas. So meeting with a human mentor, I'm talking about. You could treat ChatGPT as a technology mentor and have both an AI mentor and a human mentor as another way. Another thing I do to get my professional development is every time I read something like this, I'm writing things down and saving it in a file, one file, as a PowerPoint slide deck. So I take a picture, I put a date, I put the idea, and I keep adding to this PowerPoint slide deck, and I come back through, and when I have to do a presentation like today, I look at all the ideas over the last few months that I've learned. I save all the ideas in one document. Okay? That's another way to professionally develop without any cost. Just whatever you're reading, whatever's in the news article, I'm writing down and saving for later. And then those articles that are free, sometimes you have to download and give them your email address, right? And then they send you other things on email. I unsubscribe. I just subscribe, I get the free document, then I unsubscribe. So there are free documents, there are free classes, there are articles that explain things, and then there are humans that can help you in groups and as a peer or as a tutor. There are different ways you can have personal, self-directed, and human-to-human co-self-directed learning with a partner, right? How about one of our foreign partners in here, Panchali or Yayoi? You have a question for me this morning, tonight in Japan, tonight in Thailand. You're muted. Both of you muted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hello?
Thank you very
helpful.
much,
Thank you.
Cart, for very great presentation. We could enjoy your talk, crossing the Pacific. And my question is, I could learn that AI is a very powerful tool. And as you mentioned, the student can translate Japanese to English at the moment, right? So if I ask my student to make presentation in English, they can create English content in a second. But I also want to include something that AI cannot do, right? So
Yeah.
I agree that you said about discussion. We can include discussion after AI slides. That's a very good point. And can you tell us something more about what AI cannot do and we can include in a instruction?
You want to know what AI can't do? You know,
It can do, cannot do. So
cannot
yeah.
do. So, you know, it cannot make creative connections between multiple documents. It doesn't, and it can't add emotions to the activity. So the emotion is emotionally is inept. Emotion, it doesn't have the range of emotions that you or I, and if it does have, it'd be fake ones. And so having empathy, having activities where there's social cognition or perspective taking, having take the perspective of different people, uh, it can do different people in time, but cultures maybe not so good at. And fostering empathy for people in difficult situations who face problems and dilemmas, maybe not so good at. So I'd look at what we call hot cognition, emotionally laden cognition, and getting people energized. It doesn't have this human energy component to it, this human
Mhm.
empathy component to it, the human expression, all E words, notice, energy, empathy, and expression. So it can handle those as well as it can just basic facts and listing things for us.
Mhm.
So if you get at debates where there's a lot of emotion happening in those, it might prepare you
Mhm.
for a debate, but it doesn't do so good engaging in one and analyzing the characters involved in the debate well enough to know how to respond to what someone has said, because they don't understand the humanness in the visual. You know, seeing someone turn red when they debate, you know something's happening there in that. But it's a good question. What can't AI do that we should be focusing humans on? And I guess that would be looking at the upper levels of Bloom's taxonomy. That'd be synthesis
Mhm.
level and it'd be evaluation level, maybe
Mhm.
even analysis levels. The first three levels it can do, the latter three levels it can't as well. I mean, it can to some degree, but I'd focus most of our discussion with students at the evaluation level, synthesis level, or combination of those. And in the SMILE program, they basically did combine synthesis and evaluation together. Punchli has a question. Punchli.
I don't really have a questions, but I have learned a lot from one of the listener who asked, right, about how we should deal with AI when it's like, it's same in Thailand as in China. It's very test oriented teaching sometimes, right? Yeah, I myself have problem with AI. The students use with, I just want to share experiences. Then, like student use AI, right? Uh, Now we are trying to tell them that you can use AI, but you have to be able to have the skill yourself first. Because lots of students now they think that okay, I don't need to learn how to write because AI can write for me, right? So that's we are dealing with, right? Like in one of my writing classes here, right? Instead of saying no, you cannot use AI, right? I tell them that you can use AI in the first stage of writing, in the when you search for information, when you start your first draft, and then in the presentation, right? Oral presentation in class, students have to discuss how AI, right, has been used by them right, before they arrive at the final project to be presented. Yes, that's all. I'm still like trying to find my way around it actually. Yeah.
So one way is to highlight in color, different colors, what part AI played a role in. So one way, another way is to track changes and annotate. One way is to annotate and make comments. So you can use color, you can use annotations, you can use commenting tools, or you can just have them explain where they utilized AI and how they utilized AI. There's many ways in which you might try and accomplish that. We're at an early stage of all this. We're at a very early stage. So the fact that we have got a book with 101 ideas is pretty amazing. The fact that we have, these free classes, free books, resources from UNESCO, US government report on this, and I'm sure Chinese government, Thai government, Japanese government, and others have their reports as well. Singapore is always 6 months ahead of everyone else. So I'm sure they've got 5 different reports on AI and educational use, very focused ones. And so, we've got all this available already to us. As I said, there's 3 books, on AI pedagogy, and this pretty quickly. And this is just 3 of many, so while we are a little bit hesitant and feeling self-conscious about what we don't know, we already know quite a bit. And you already are hearing people talk about what they do with it as if they've been trying it for a long time. It's just recent. This is all recent. The fact that we were able to do 10 studies within a year and a half, I mean, this is there's a lot of research going on, and the journals are publishing the research really fast. There's so many special issues out there. And if anyone wants to take my course in the spring, it'll be on Tuesday nights, be Wednesday morning in Asia. Emerging Learning Technologies. Millie's been in it many times. Yayoi's been in it. I'm teaching a face-to-face Mondays, Tuesday night online, and it'll be Wednesday morning. It'll be 7 o'clock at night in US. Be Wednesday morning in Thailand, in Japan, and China. The fact that we got classes in this, we know a lot. And now, and that class I teach has all these special issues I'm using in the class, because and if you want to get the articles, just go to my syllabus and look for R678, Emerging Learning Technologies from last spring. The link is there, you can download it. So again, go to my homepage and you can get many of these things. And find articles and free books and free courses. So I'm more optimistic than pessimistic, but compared to where I was a year ago. And I'm not an expert at any of these technologies. I'm still learning, and yet I'm able to incorporate some of these things in my class. There's a lot I don't know. And I'm amazed at what my students know in comparison to what I know. And I'm sure that's true of many of you in here today. So you have to experiment, or you're going to keep falling a little further behind. So try 1 or 2 new things out every semester, just 1 or 2, and build on that over time. That will help you become more confident and comfortable and self-efficacious. Your self-efficacy will rise, your self-identity as a user will rise, right? Other questions from anyone here today? We've had good conversation.
Hi, Professor Bonk.
Yes.
I have a couple of questions. After receiving your inspiring lecture, just now I found many monotask-based design from kind of mini tools, as you mentioned in your lecture. And I wonder whether kind of a systematic work can AI do in your university, especially for curriculum design, or for example, elevate or improve research methodology. Because in my university now, yesterday and the last week, our university was encouraging all the researchers or scholars, especially the social science scholars, just to try to develop a kind of a better curriculum in a systematic way. So how about your university? Any kind of reform in your curriculum? And what kind of real, for example, okay, effect can research be improved with the AI? So this is what I want to know. Thank you.
There's multiple questions in there. I had the privilege of working on a National Science Foundation grant a decade ago related to AI development of curriculum. We did not get that funded, but it was basically automatically populating courses and curricula based on existing resources that are out there utilizing AI technologies. So I got real familiar with this area, and I can see it as a potential growth area and something that professors could become expert at and actually work not just with their own university, but with many once you get expert at redesigning courses and curricula using AI. I will be honest, in my school of education, we've exploded in the area of online learning and blended learning and creating new programs and curricula over the past decade, as well as our university. It's got new targets. We're a public university across all 8 campuses. We have almost 95,000 students. In our campus in Bloomington here, we have 45,000 students. So it's a big campus. And the goal is to increase to almost 10,000 students in online of that in the next 5 years. I have not heard yet anyone expressing a new initiative related to AI for curriculum development here in Indiana. We've not, even though we're knee deep, we're heavily involved in online and blended. We are definitely one of the leaders in experimenting with technology, and we have a new AI building on campus. We actually have a new AI building in our School of Informatics. It's growing so fast. They actually had to build they got it built and they outgrew it the first year they went in the building. So informatics and computer science and engineering, they built another building for AI, but that just was finished maybe a year or so ago. They have not announced curriculum design related to AI. If they do, I will be happy to forward that to Alicia to share with you. I'll keep my eyes open on that. In terms of other universities, I've not not heard of anyone, but that'd be easy to find. I'm sure there are universities creating designing curriculum based on what AI is in, especially the nonprofit universities, yeah, or the for-profit in North America. But to answer your first question and second question, I would say no, we're not, and I'm not aware of any that are, but yes, I will share if I hear something. Usually I find out after the question, I'll find something on that. I'm not sure if you had a third question. What was the third question?
How about the research methodology?
Oh, right.
Any kind of, yeah.
Yeah, you can definitely use AI system to help have you summarize articles, find articles, create lists of articles as a researcher to basically do the systematic reviews of the research or meta-analyses and find the articles. Today, the area of systematic reviews of research is exploding. And my team has done a number of systematic reviews of the research on self-directed learning, on online learning, and just published in the last couple of years. Several of my teammates have published other articles. I have a colleague who's writing a book on systematic reviews of the research. I can ask her if she's got a chapter on the use of AI for systematic reviews, and if she is, I could ask her if she would send that. Her name is Florence Martin at the University of North Carolina, or North Carolina State University. But systematic reviews of the research exploding because there's so much research, we need systematic reviews, meta-analysis, and AI to make sense of all the research out there. But one thing that it can do is quickly find or generate a list of possible studies. Also, it can find for you the email addresses of the people doing research on topics for you to correspond with and create communities with on the different topics. You could have it maybe write the abstract for your articles, or write and look for keywords. So having it create all the additional referenceware about that article, whether it is defining terminology in more clear and succinct way. You could ask AI maybe to restructure your paragraph to write it more succinctly or clearly, and then having it do that. Randy has a comment or question. Randy, did you want to jump in here and add to that?
Actually, you answered my question already. Thank you so much.
Which
I
was
just
what?
mentioned about the standardized exams, and
Oh.
then you already answered about your model, the reflecting one, the
Okay.
reading one, reflecting one, R2D2.
Yeah.
So I might look deep into it, and then I actually tried to design several texts from ChatGPT already. For example, for the English exams for my students. But the question is, it's ChatGPT is not really good at the level of the, the English level of the exams. For example, there is a barrier for ChatGPT to understand more about the Chinese English exam level. So that sometimes when I give the sample of the text to ChatGPT, but either it's like designed much easier or not really relevant. So I think that we need to train, give more time to train ChatGPT to design the text, or we have to come up with the some ways for training ChatGPT to understand more about the Chinese education system in terms of exams. That is quite interesting. I have been working on it.
So we're still at the basic stage. This is the first beginning. Going back to the earlier question from the professor there, one thing you can ask ChatGPT as a researcher to do is compare two articles together, or maybe create a summary of key points in the article, to have starter text in effect, or have to start writing, oh, what is this article? Oh, this is what ChatGPT gave me as the key points, and then write from that. So it can help give you more resources as a research partner. It gives you some resource summaries, and it can point to the resources that are available. And that's one possible use as a researcher of these tools. Millie's asking which is better, ChatGPT or Gemini. I'm not a Gemini user, but I like Chat PDF. But I've heard that Claude 2 is very good with logic and is more intelligent than maybe some of the other ones. I've not used Claude, but I plan to this summer when we go to summer break, maybe this winter on winter break. I want to play around with Claude, CLAUDE, but Claude 2. There are other ones that you hear about that others recommend. In the chat window, if you have a favorite generative AI tool, if you want to type in your favorite tool or what you think is the most powerful one. Yeah. Maybe first the most powerful ones and then your favorite ones in the chat window.
Is more powerful.
Claude is the most powerful, I heard. This is what I've heard.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
I will check.
Yep.
Yeah.
But there's a new version called Claude 2, I think.
So it also charges?
I think most of these have a free version of them. That's a good question. Does it charge? Yeah. You have to check.
Okay, I will check.
Yeah. We're going to create a list in the class this spring of all these tools and which ones are free and which ones are not. We have time for one final question. Thank you for coming, Jasmine. Thank you for coming, Sophia. Anyone else who hasn't jumped in want to ask? Thanks for coming, Joe. Anyone have a comment? Go ahead if you do. How about again in the chat window, just 3 words you got from today? Anyone type in 3 words you got from today, and then if you want to put a video, I'll get a picture of everyone here, and we'll close with taking a picture. I'm inspired. Thank you, Randy. I appreciate that that comment. So we can take a group picture. Thank you, Randy. Okay, on the count of 3, we can all We can all smile, right?
What is the gesture?
We'll do this, but I can't do this. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you everybody for coming here today. I've got to end here with all of you. I'm sad I've got to end, but thank you for everyone for coming in here today. I really do appreciate a chance to speak to my friends in China. And I want to come back in return, as well as my friends in Japan and in Thailand too. So send me notes. They'll be posted at trainingshare.com. My slides will be at trainingshare.com later today. I'll create a podcast show. We'll put that up there as well. Look under archived talks. Okay. I'm stopping the recording at this point. And thank you all for coming to this talk on innovative AI pedagogy and language classrooms and beyond. Bye, everybody.